Hyperdrive, malfunction. Emergency override, not responding.
The Oracle is interfering with the hyperspace nav systems. It has taken over our course.
Stand by for emergency hyperspace exit. The Oracle has taken us to the Karos graveyard. It is still in control of the hyperspace core and is recharging it to jump again.
Until we have regained control of the hyperspace core, we will remain at high alert. Be prepared for enemy contact.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Homeworld 2 Remastered. So, we are back in the Karos graveyard.
Reporting. Docking with Mothership.
Anywho, I'm not sure if this is the exact same place in the Karos graveyard as it was in the first Homeworld. I don't think it is.
Mothership.
Most likely the Karos graveyard is quite a large area. And because we don't see all the little derelict ships floating around, and there's no like junkyard dog or anything, so it's likely that this is just another section of the Karos graveyard. Notice that again we are around these ginormous pieces of debris.
We are detecting anomalous signals from the surrounding hulks. The Oracle is interfering with our sensors. Unidentified units approaching. No life signs detected. Prepare to engage.
Stand down. We're on hold.
Alright, well, they tried to pull a creepy little spooky insect-like whatever. You know those creepy strings you hear with those ships coming out? It doesn't really work in my opinion because they're not like creepy crawlies. They're not insects, they're just little Corvette ships.
Waypoint confirmed.
Anyway, this is probably the easiest mission in the game, and perhaps one of the most boring as well. Chances are we won't even fire a shot or lose a single unit. Obviously, if you notice, what I've done is I've docked all of the strike craft and kept them docked. And in the meantime, we're leveling up our manufacturing, our frigates, and all that. We're improving all our ships, doing a bunch of research, and I am using this one single squadron of interceptors, and I'm going to lead these, what are obviously called movers, on a wild goose chase. These things, these movers, are drones. They are unmanned strike craft. In both the classic and the remastered version, there's actually a cap
Upgrade complete.
of 20 of them on the map at any given time.
Copy.
So if you want, you can actually fight them off, but they'll just infinitely spawn throughout these pieces of debris, but there can only be 20 of them on the map at any given time. So a much simpler strategy for beating this mission is just to dock all your strike craft, because they will follow the nearest thing that comes
Mothership.
close to it. And in this case, it's a squadron of interceptors. So just take a squadron of interceptors,
Upgrade
get close to them, have them,
Confirmed.
try to attack it,
Acknowledged.
and then set a whole bunch of waypoints just leading them around the map. And you lead them on a wild goosey chasey. That's all you have to do. And as long as basically you keep them away from the fleet, then they're good. So they'll never catch the interceptors. They don't have particularly powerful weaponry. They can destroy the ships, though, but yeah. They're just very
Upgrade
single
complete.
one-track mind kind of units. They'll actually ignore the mothership and go around it if you get too close to the mothership, although I don't think they'll ignore the frigates. But anyway.
Upgrade complete. Production underway. Upgrade complete.
This is literally all we have to do for this entire mission. You notice that the hyperspace core is charging, and I think it started out with like 8 or 9 minutes on the clock there. It's not the full time. I think around like with 1 minute to go, it'll
Gunship
jump.
complete.
So I don't know, that timer is not terribly accurate, you might say.
Upgrade complete.
Construction underway. Copy. Roger.
Well, we have 2 frigate slots, so I'm going to build 2 ion cannon frigates, and I retired that marine frigate, because again, I never ever use marine frigates. I never ever capture anything in Homeworld 2 unless I absolutely have to,
Production
unless the
underway.
story necessitates it, like I mentioned in the last mission.
Ion
Because
cannon
it's such a
frigate
boring
complete.
exercise.
Production underway.
I will also note that, again, notice these giant pieces of debris that form part of the skybox, if you will. One of the original ideas
Reporting.
for
Copy.
Homeworld 2 was to have these
7,
massive
3, 4.
structures, these
Captain
megaliths,
confirmed.
as they were
Landing
called,
Bomber squadron.
around which the ships would fight, right? And they would be so big, strike craft could do like Death Star style
Ion
trench
cannon
runs
frigate
down,
complete.
parts of them, parts of
Group
these
7.
huge structures around the map. Right, the idea is that these huge megaliths
Group
would
7
function
reinforced.
as terrain in
Stand
the
down,
game.
we're on hold.
Because, space technically has no terrain, but these things would function effectively as terrain. But the idea never really panned out, and it proved to be, I think, just too resource intensive
squadron
to actually
complete.
implement it in the game engine. Again, this is an early 2000s game. I think it was 2003.
Acknowledged.
Yeah, that's just one thing they wanted to try with Homeworld 2, one of their grand, big game development ideas. Another big development idea they had early on in the game development was the idea
Waypoint
that the
set.
game would turn into like this big galaxy-wide galactic strategy type game where you would move fleets of ships
squadron
around the
complete.
galactic map, and then they would encounter an enemy force of Vaegir, and you would then zoom in to that
Confirmed.
individual engagement and fight it out with these fleets, right? Then zoom back out, right? You'd have other fleets that would be engaging and so on and so forth, right? So that was another idea, is that they would, really boost up the galaxy-wide scale of this game with Homeworld 2. But again, that's another
Waypoint
idea,
confirmed.
another epic idea that never really made it into the final game.
The Oracle is initiating a short jump.
The mothership is entering hyperspace. Her exit coordinates are unknown.
Alright, destination unknown.
Docking with carrier. Acknowledged. Docking signal green.
Our interceptors are doing just mighty fine. Just giving them some flight hours, you know.
Roger. En route.
The mothership has exited hyperspace. Auxiliary systems back online. The Oracle is still in control of the core. I'm attempting to reroute all control systems and power down the core.
Additional hostiles detected surrounding the hulks. Defend the mothership from further attacks.
Yes, don't worry about that. More hostiles are not going to appear out of those hulks that it pointed out. Like I said, there's a cap of 20 movers on the screen, and if you count them up, there are 20 right there. So, yeah. And as you can see, right now, they're flying right next to the mothership. They're totally ignoring the thing. Maybe because the Oracle has control of our hyperspace core, and it's taking us on a little jaunt across this map. So we just gotta wait out for another, 10 minutes, 9 minutes-ish now. See where we're going here, huh? You'll notice that I have moved a resource collector way up there to the edge of the map there on the right, kind of the upper right-hand corner. That is for a purpose, and we'll find out what it is. It's going to the top of the map, but we'll find out why I'm moving it there in a little bit.
Sensors have detected an alien ship at this location. It appears to be disabled. We must retrieve it to determine a weakness in their design. Dispatch a resource collector to salvage the target ship.
How lucky there just happens to be a derelict one right there, and that is why I am moving that resource collector up to that area so we can just go and fetch it. I want to wait till the movers get past it, because I don't want them to inadvertently start targeting the resource collector.
Standing by.
Again, if you were,
Reporting.
trying to fight these things off, then you would have your hands busy with combat with these things, and yeah, they're not super duper tough. They are fairly tough, but they're essentially corvettes with like bomber style weaponry on them. But yeah, they're just more annoying than anything. Going back to the idea of one of the developers' ideas of, implementing these huge megalithic structures in the map where your strike craft and your ships would fight around and over and under and perhaps even in some cases inside these huge structures. Some of the demo footage, the gameplay footage of Homeworld 3, which is out right now, you can find it on YouTube. They will be able to implement a lot of these huge structures that vessels can fly through, like there's like maybe a big giant tunnel or something of this huge structure they can fly through. They can fly through these structures, they can fly around them. And effectively, these huge structures will function as terrain in Homeworld 3. And it can be used to mask like the signature and the approach of units toward enemy units. So finally, this whole megalithic structure / terrain feature is finally coming to fruition in Homeworld 3. Of course, it took so long for Homeworld 3 to finally start being developed. It took us nearly a good 20 years, maybe slightly less, but yeah. I think for a long time there was planned to be a Homeworld 3, but because the IP sat in, just in limbo for so long, it never really went forward very much, of course, until the development of Homeworld Deserts of Karak, then well, we found, there's still a community for Homeworld. I will say that one of my concerns with Homeworld 3 is that this terrain mechanic, if you will, right? This fighting in and around these huge structures in space, I'm hoping that it doesn't become like the sole gimmicky game mechanic. You know what I mean? That style of play where you cannot beat a mission unless you do it a specific way using the terrain feature. So yeah, I'm hoping that the terrain feature of Homeworld 3 doesn't force you to play the game in a certain way to the exclusion of other gameplay styles.
Mothership.
We have secured the alien ship. Research Division has started its analysis.
Reporting. Docking with carrier. En route.
Analysis complete. Using data from the Oracle, we've reverse engineered the alien ship. These ships appear to be armed utility vessels. The Oracle refers to them as movers.
Research Division believes it can enhance our existing weapons to deal with the movers. Begin research immediately.
New research available.
Okie dokie. Well, we can research anti-mover weaponry. This will boost our weapons' effectiveness. I think this is specifically for, the Pride of Higar, for the Mothership. It doesn't apply to any other ship, any other weapons on any other ship in the fleet. It's solely the weaponry aboard the Mothership. So, for what it's worth. I mean,
Reporting.
It doesn't cost much to research, so just do it. Yeah.
En route.
Research complete.
Anti-mover weaponry upgrade complete. Destroy the movers.
No, you don't have to destroy the movers. Again, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing thus far. Just keep having them follow you around the map. Another thing I would like to see in Homeworld 3 is a further implementation of the veterancy mechanic that Deserts of Karak did. And again, I mentioned that before, but I really enjoyed that mechanic. I thought it was really smart, really well implemented, right? You still had things you could research, right? But it really gave you a strong incentive to keep units alive, because the more combat they saw, the better they became, and the more they gained experience and more rank. And as they leveled up, so to speak, as they gained experience and rank, then it gave them perks to their abilities, right? You'll find that you could have units at the end of the game that had pretty much been with you since the very beginning, and they were significantly more powerful than just your standard vanilla unit, even though they didn't look any different. So I'm hoping that Homeworld 3 includes that veterancy mechanic that I think just worked really well. And maybe it can even leverage it in some ways, right?
The Mothership is preparing to enter hyperspace once more.
Alright, there goes the Mothership. Where is it gonna end up now? The Mothership does appear to be moving in one specific direction, I will say. I do say so myself, yes. In the meantime, just enjoy Paul Ruske's music, heavily Middle Eastern and Indian influenced.
Hyperspace successful. The Oracle is moving into proximity with one of the hulks.
mothership is moving to this derelict. We must defend the mothership at all costs.
Alright, well, I previously said they would just ignore the mothership, but apparently it hit hyperspace into the map right here, and it distracted these two movers or something.
Show no mercy.
Alrighty. Well, you are clear to engage.
Mothership.
You know what?
New targets.
Let's just get rid of these fast.
The mothership is taking light enemy fire.
Yeah, they do some damage to the mothership, so here's what we're gonna do. Gonna launch a couple squadrons of Pulsar corvettes, and we're gonna take them out. Take them out. Take them down. Do your thing.
Roger. Strike group prepare for assault.
As you'll see, the movers are not invincible. What's kind of funny, though, is in this mission is that we hyperspaced into the Karos graveyard here,
Strike group prepare for assault.
all just so we can make the mothership can make a series of short, little jumps across the map to this one area, to this one piece of debris.
Complete. Awaiting further orders.
All right, you may dock
Copy.
now.
Docking with mothership.
So we can get close to this one piece of debris, and now it's just moving there, moving forward under conventional drives now. You can see, right? It's got the little green line there, so we're gonna basically spend the next, like, 10 minutes just moving slowly towards this thing, whatever it is.
Docking
It looks like the
sequence
front end of a ship or something. It's gonna slowly just inch its way towards there, right? I guess the hyperdrive just isn't that accurate.
Ready.
It can't get us quite so pinpoint close. Yeah, there must be some margin of error in the hyperdrive system or whatever, right? It'll get you within the area, but after that, right,
Copy.
you're doing short tactical jumps or using conventional drives or something. So maybe that's why we entered the mission
Reporting.
back here, and then it just made a series of short jumps or
pattern
something.
locked
and
in.
engaging the impulse thrusters or whatever.
Collection confirmed. Ready.
Alright, I'm gonna have my resource collectors collect stuff. And we're just gonna do our thing now. In the meantime, you know, I can only imagine what everyone else in the fleet on the frigates or whatever and the mothership are doing while we're being led around by the Oracle here.
Waypoint confirmed.
I guess we'll just refill the coffee pots, swab the decks, clean the heads, do some damage control drills, needle gun and repaint the bulkheads, change the light bulbs in the light lockers, pre-order a box of radar contacts and grid squares, weigh the anchors, see how much they weigh, fill out the paperwork to get those promotions put through, service the soft serve ice cream machines throughout the fleet, right? You gotta keep the sailors busy, you know. Sailors tend to get into trouble when they're bored and they have nothing to do. Idle hands and all that, you know what I mean? Yep, stuff needs doing. Otherwise, it's just hurry up and wait. But Chief, I've already cleaned that coffee pot 15 times already. Well, you can clean it 16 times. You're leaving coffee stains on it. Need to get it stain free.
Roger.
At least the resource collectors have something productive to do. We'll watch it dock with the controller here. Or I guess the mobile refinery, as it's called. It's not a resource controller, it's a mobile refinery. I wonder if it uses the same technology, right? Where it creates that little miniature wormhole that they described in the previous game.
We're coming home.
Alright, start digging in there. Nom 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 nom. A is for asteroid. C is for cookie. And cookie is for me. Well, I guess we're all good in terms of the fleet and being ready and all that.
Reporting.
Man, those movers are really lagging behind there.
Mothership.
I suppose if the strike craft in this game, if they still had a fuel mechanic, like in the Homeworld 1 Classic Edition, then this mission might be significantly more difficult, or maybe a little bit more interesting or whatever, since you'd have to somehow rotate out a squadron for a fully fueled one. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. Or it might eliminate this strategy altogether if you had to refuel strike craft, because, like, you know, they're just going to follow something once they sort of get eyes on them and doggedly chase it around the map, so maybe you'd have to, I don't know, just end up fighting off the movers. Then annoyingly, it would just be a survival mission. This game does have a couple of survival missions where all you have to do is just survive. You can't beat the enemies, literally. You literally just need to fight them off until the next mission trigger. And that's really freaking annoying, I think. And I'm just gonna grind my teeth and try and bear through it when I get to those missions, because, oh, it's so annoying. I hate that in video games.
Waypoint set.
And it's like, nope, you have infinitely spawning enemies, or enemies that technically can't be killed. You just have to wait it out for X amount of time. Ah, it's so cheap. Such a cheap way to lengthen gameplay. And as I have mentioned before, it's my biggest issue, I think, with this game, apart from the scaling difficulty mechanic, is that the story is just so meh. It's just bland, in my opinion. It's not well fleshed out. Because I play Homeworld for the story. I mean, truth be told, I do feel that the gameplay mechanics in Homeworld 2 are a little bit smoother. They're a little bit better fleshed out. They do work a little bit more nice, right? They're tighter, right? They're more cohesive. So I do feel that Homeworld 2 has slightly better gameplay mechanics, gameplay controls than Homeworld 1. That said, I'm not exactly playing these for the gameplay controls and mechanics. I'm playing it for the story. And that's why Homeworld 2 is kind of this big letdown for me. And why I'm just bitching and complaining about it endlessly. Let's try something different here. Let's send this squadron of interceptors down low. Get low. Again, because so much of this game essentially occurs on a two-dimensional plane, which is how you fight. So let's try and use the 3 dimensions here, right?
Waypoint
Let's
confirmed.
get those movers off the elevation that our fleet is at and head downstairs.
Confirmed.
I guess indeed it would be pretty cool if you ended up fighting around some of these huge pieces of debris, these structures. Not just these little chunks of debris we have on the map here, but
Mothership.
around these big cylindrical pieces of whatever you see in the background. That might have actually been cool had they actually been able to implement it in this game. But yeah, we'll have to wait till Homeworld 3, I guess. Come on, we gotta get there. Let's get there.
Mothership. The Oracle has activated this derelict. It appears to be partially online. It appears to be transmitting orders to all the movers.
The movers are powering down. They are now offline.
The Oracle has received telemetry data from the derelict. It has transmitted the location of a progenitor relic within the Karos graveyard. Coordinates locked in.
Assembling the fleet for hyperspace.
Control of the hyperspace core has been released.
Okay, off we go. To another part of the Karos graveyard.